Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And as I indicated in my daily financial news video this morning, I have a special guest at 10 o'clock Pacific. And this one's pretty special. So let's welcome James to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a conversation that is kind of unique on my channel, right? We're going to talk about how we met in the project that you are working on, which I was so lucky to be a part of. But then we're gonna twist into being a nomad for 10 years and wandering the globe and all the countries you've been to. I have so many questions, but James, why don't you tell folks first who you are, how we met, and the project you're working on?
I'm James Sacamano. I was fortunate to meet Mike. Let's see, how do I begin this? So Jeff Hayes is a dear friend of mine. I've worked for him for a couple other projects, and he has a film company, Jeff Hayes Films and Revealed Films. And he had texted my wife and I. We were in Montenegro. It's a glorious country. A lot of people don't even know where it is, part of the former Yugoslavia.
Cool.
We were in Montenegro, and he texted and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a project on real estate investment?" He does a docu-series on a really wide variety of topics. I think his favorite one was wine revealed because he loves wine. So he went,
there you go.
Yeah, drinking wine. But he wanted to do a docu-series on real estate investment and asked me if I was interested. And because he knows my wife and I have dabbled. We'd have some rentals.
Sure.
And I think he felt we would be the right for me to interview because I'm the target audience. I'm somebody who has done a little bit of real estate, but knows there's more, knows there's a better way to do it. But, and it's funny because literally 2 weeks prior to getting the text, Dee and I were Dee's my bride. We were talking about, really, we got to do more with this real estate. We have some rentals.
Very cool.
They're cash flowing a little bit, but we own them outright. There's got to be more to do.
Yeah.
But so we need to learn more. So we're like, okay, we're going to buckle down and really study. And then the universe reaches out and says, "Hey, would you like to, talk to people like Mike Zuber and experts from all around the country?" Wow. And so we were sure. When?
Yeah, why not?
We flew back, and Mike, it has been fascinating because, and what's been interesting is, you know better than I, but there's so many spokes on the real estate wheel, right? So many ways to do it. So I remember interviewing the first person, and he's hugely successful, but he's all about single family homes.
Huh. Okay.
So I listen to him and he lays everything out. It's brilliant. And we finish, I wrap, I go grab Dia. I'm going, okay, single family homes. This is it, right? The very next guy, all about, as many doors, get
big. Yeah.
Yes, you want multiplexes. So if one person moves out, you're not out, right? And he lays it all out, and it's brilliant. I'm like, okay, D, scratch that.
We're going here.
And so it's been, and then somebody else, you go, wait, what? Airbnb? And I don't even have to buy the place.
Arbitrage. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. I know so much more than I did, but it's there's a little bit of analysis paralysis because there's so much. But I love you were kind enough to send me your book ahead of time, which really resonated because like I told you, it's real. Yeah. It didn't feel like a textbook. It felt like a story with an education tied in. So Jeff, we're going to have close to 40 interviews with people from all over, and some really fascinating people. I interviewed, we were in California a week ago, and this young man, he shows up for his interview. He's got his hat on backwards, a tracksuit on, and he's, I'm expecting him to rap. And he was an immigrant from Romania. Okay. Like his father grabbed the kids and they literally snuck out and hid through the woods while guards and dogs, all of that, right? Like a movie. And they got to Canada, and he says, we're immigrants. You do whatever you can. So I'm cleaning buildings. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, I got grit.
Yeah.
So then he starts, creates his own cleaning company.
There you go.
And then he starts like, wait a minute, I'm cleaning, these people own these buildings. What are they doing? I should be on that side.
Ah.
And got himself in, and within a few short years, he's got one of the biggest real estate education formats. And so just, it's been fascinating. But
awesome.
so it was great meeting you. And I think
Yeah.
Jeff, he's hoping, we don't have a title yet, and he's hoping to roll it out, I think, in January.
Okay.
He's
So
always,
again,
go ahead.
for the people that don't know, the project, again, 40 people interviewed, rolled out in January. Is it going to be like a 4-hour, 8-hour? How big is this thing you think going to be?
So he does a docu-series, so it'll be probably maybe 9 episodes.
Okay, cool.
A variety of people each episode to, hopefully, you got to assume everybody who's watching is interested in real estate investment. So it's to provide answers and the, so much of it's having the right question to ask.
Yeah.
So I think as people watch it, I think they'll have an experience like I did, hey, this is the one to do. And then you watch the next episode.
Oh, gotta do that one.
But I think there's enough, you find one that sings to you, one that has your rhythm, and you go, you know what, I think I could do that.
Yeah, that's what I hope happens, right? You get 40 folks who have done their thing, their lane. That is my hope, right? You find 1 or 2 that kind of speak to you, and you go, you dig a little deeper.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Yeah. Or I'm smarter than him, I could do that too.
Right.
You'll get some of that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's one gentleman I talked to, his very first property was 62 unit.
Wow. That doesn't happen a lot. Yeah.
No, that's his first. So I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. I don't think I could swing that.
Yeah. I might, I don't know. Yeah.
But the way he explains it, you go, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. That is awesome. Well, one of the things I wanted to do here is introduce the project we were on. I took a Saturday off from my channel, and this was the activity that I did in SoCal. Folks will know what I'm referring to. But during our conversation right after the camera wrapped, you've kind of shared an interesting story that you and your wife have really just traveled the world the last 10 years. And a lot of people envision that as like, that's got to be pretty cool. So you were telling me how many countries have you been to in a decade?
I think it's 62, could be 72. We were talking about it the other day. Like I said, I told you at the beginning, we wrapped a project.
Yeah.
We were going to travel for a year and a half, and it's been 10. Yeah. So it's been pretty organic.
That's amazing. Well, let's set this up, because a lot of people, that's their goal, right? They want to eventually at some point travel this wonderful earth and see more of it than they see. So, okay. So you're on a project, you and your wife, Dee, agree to, hey, we're going to go travel for 18 months. Kind of set that up for folks, because you probably had to think about things that others have never had, like what to do with mail and how to pay this, or how to do insurance you probably had to think about things that most of us would never think about. So why don't you kind of lay that first pieces out for us?
Yeah, it's, we're in a fortunate time that you can make almost everything electronic, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like our bills, our banking, everything is electronic. Mm-hmm. We used her brother's address as a mailing,
just in case.
For a handful of things that have to get mailed. Mm-hmm. And Dee's got a wonderful niece who's smart as a whip, and like she keeps an eye out on for things for us.
Nice.
But so like I said, that was easier than you would think, because we had everything electronic. Okay. And the other thing that happened is when we decided to do this, first we wrapped a project, and I'll even back up because we do have a bit of a cheat.
Okay.
That makes this a little easier. We were both with Delta Airlines for 20 plus years.
Okay.
So we have flight benefits.
Okay. Well, that's okay. No. Yeah, you did.
But so then after that, Jeff, a friend of mine was working for Jeff Hayes. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's done a million things.
Yeah.
And he had a company, and a friend of mine was working there. He was like, you got to come work for us. So I went over there and it was a blast. And then Dee joined me and we became good friends as well as employees. And so we use Jeff's address as well for some stuff.
That's fun.
And he even keeps a room in his house for us. Like,
just in case.
It's not, he's got a big house, and we came home and there's a sign on the door says the Sacamano Suite.
Oh, that's awesome. Love
So
the guy.
we're very blessed, right?
That is awesome.
But we wrapped a project. We did a couple startups with Jeff, sold those.
Okay.
And then at one point I'm like, okay, Dee, what do you want to do now? And
Ah.
she said, I want to go. I'm like, where?
Yes. Yeah. A little bit more, please.
Because we both worked internationally. I was on the management side with Delta. She was an analyst. So I always I tell people, whenever you call customer service and you get an accent you can't understand, to blame Dee.
Ah.
Because she was the one opening offices all over India. But so we've been a lot of places. And
Right.
I had multiple offices overseas. So when
Okay.
she said, I want to go, I'm like, what does that mean? And she said,
Right.
I just want to go. I want to go get lost.
Wow.
So the first thought was rent the house.
Okay.
And put stuff in storage, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. But really, Mike, in just a couple of weeks of talking it over and planning, it was like, all right, if we do that, when we go travel, you always got kind of 1 foot back. You can't, at least one eye, right? You got to keep an eye on everything. You got a renter now. You got things to keep an eye on. And we didn't. So we went, you know what? You can always buy more stuff.
Wow. Okay.
Right? You can buy another house. You can buy another car. So
Yeah.
let's just get rid of all of it.
Oh.
And go. So that did, now our ties got really minimal.
Yeah. Okay.
So we did that. We got rid of the house, the cars, and I was fortunate because a good friend of ours, flips homes in the Salt Lake area in a big way. He even had a TV show on Spike called Flip Men.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
He always had homes he was staging. So I called him and said, hey, Doug, we're going to take off. You want our stuff? And he drove over. We sat around, had a glass of wine. And he looked around. He goes, I'll take it all.
Oh, there you go.
Where Dee was starting to, sell things through the,
onesie, twosie. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he just goes, I'll take it all. And like when he
Done.
said all, it was like the books, like if you want to keep it, you better grab it.
Yes, I'm coming with a truck tomorrow. Whatever here is mine.
Well, literally so what was nice is we stayed in our comfortable house up until our leave date.
Yeah.
And then he showed up the day before with a moving van and a couple Polynesians, because that's all you need to move an entire house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they came in like the white tornado and were just yeah. And at the 5 o'clock, Doug, Dee, and I are sitting in the house with a bottle of wine.
Going, it's all gone.
They left a mattress, a bare mattress, so we could sleep that night and take off the next day.
That is awesome.
So that literally, because you can always buy more stuff.
That's
right?
interesting. Yeah. So I'm guessing you had to keep some things, probably family photos, maybe a couple of trinkets here and there, or.
We did. So, the objects d'art, stuff we picked up. So we have some boxes at her brother's attic.
But it's a lot smaller than people would think.
It's a lot smaller. When you really get down to what is it that really matters. And even photos, we had Dee laid out photos and took pictures with the iPhone.
Yeah.
And digitized all of it. So it's,
That's awesome.
And I'll tell you what, years later, that stuff that's in her brother's attic, I can only it's like I know of a couple things. So like really how important as you read along.
Yeah.
So
it's a time capsule.
It just became very organic. We came up with this mantra for us that's open, available, and appreciative. And great, open, available, and grateful. And so open to whatever. Well, and I think, well, the first thing we did you ever see the movie The Way?
I don't think I have.
Martin Sheen, Emilio Estevez.
I don't think I have. The
It's
way.
it's a great little movie, but it's
Okay.
about the Camino de Santiago,
Okay.
which is pilgrimage to Santiago, Spain.
All right.
The bones of St. James are there. So it's one of the great Catholic pilgrimages, like
Okay.
to Rome or like to Mecca. So we decided that would be the first thing we would do, is go walk 550 miles across Spain.
Seriously, that's
Yeah.
the first thing.
Well,
That's awesome.
the idea was, life has rhythms,
Yeah.
right? Your life has a daily rhythm. And so we were going to do a complete reset of that rhythm.
Yeah. I'd say so.
So to go to Spain and walk every day,
Yeah.
which is meditative when you're walking all day, and walk across Spain for 30 days, we thought, okay, at the end of that, we'll have reset our thermostat and have a better idea of what we want to do,
Okay.
how we want to do it. And it was magical.
So that's rough and tough. That's 15 to 18 miles a day.
Yeah.
So that's what, just a walk. That's what, 3 miles an hour. So that's 5-6 hours of walking a day.
Yeah. And it's, some days it depends on terrain, right?
Yeah,
Because
of course.
the beauty of it, there's a lot of routes.
Okay.
The main one is called the Camino Frances.
Yeah.
That's the one Martin Sheen did in the movie.
Okay. The way I'm
But
gonna check this out.
It's like 800 years old. So there's a lot of history on it.
Wow.
A lot of ruins. But you walk through towns, villages, mountains, cities. It's a very interesting thing. And you don't have to carry a lot, because you're going to be in a town or village, right?
Right.
You stay, because it's this centuries old
Sure.
pilgrimage, there are pilgrim hostels along the way.
Nice. Okay.
And so you get a pilgrim passport where you start. And for us, that route started on the French side of the Pyrenees.
Okay.
So you hike up and over the Pyrenees and into Spain, and off you
Wow.
go. But these pilgrim hostels, some of them are cool, old monasteries.
Sure.
Some of them are just huge rooms with 50 bunk beds in it, and you get a lot of grown-ups in there who've walked all day, and some of the noises, it can be hard to sleep.
Yeah.
But it's a magical thing. You meet people from all over the world.
Okay.
And it is a complete reset. We've since done it 5 more times.
You've done that walk 5 more times.
Well, different routes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's a coastal one on the northern coast where there's days you're walking on just beach and bluff on the northern coast of Spain.
That's amazing.
It's a spectacular thing. So we love big hikes, long hikes.
Yeah, I guess.
So, but we met people on that. Like we met an Irishman who was a kick. Everybody from Ireland we met was the funniest human I've ever met.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and so we were done, and a month later we got an email from him saying, "Hey, want to come over to Ireland, hike the Kerry Way and the Dingle Way, these famous trails in Ireland." So we went and did that.
There you go.
Yeah,
Just go.
go.
Just go.
Open, available, and grateful.
Oh, that's probably gonna be the title of this video: Open, Available, and Grateful. So okay, so you get to the end, you are gonna reset the thermostat.
Mhm.
What did it feel like? So you get to the end, you've accomplished said goal, you probably reassessed, you get this email about Ireland, but I mean, I can't imagine what it would feel like to complete that. And then to go back and do it 5 times, that end has got to be a big rush, I would think.
It's a cool thing. I've blessed. My dad got me backpacking from the time I was a little kid, right? So I've done a lot of backpacking, gone out in the wilderness for 2 weeks at a time, a month at a time.
Wow.
But you do see people where this is truly transformative.
Yeah.
Truly transformative.
It's a lot of time to think and reflect. And
and one of the really interesting things is there's people from all over the world, different socioeconomic backgrounds, but but everyone's there to do this one unique
Yeah.
thing, right? We're going to walk. If you start in Saint Jean, you're going to walk 550 miles. But even whatever so this is something that most of these people, it's such a unique thing for them that everybody, like you form these bonds with complete strangers.
Yeah.
And you only see them like some of them here and there. Like you might see them the first night at this hostel, and then you walk at different paces.
Yeah.
You don't see them. And then a week later, I'd like be sitting at a cafe and I look across the room and there you are. And I would, and what starts is I just, we look at each other and give the knowing nod, like,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then a few days go by and we see each other somewhere else. And not the knowing nod becomes a hug.
Oh, yes.
And you're literally somewhere along the way, you see people and you cross the street. I mean, I remember we met these two sisters from Poland.
Okay.
And so we speak English, some Spanish, some Italian.
Okay.
They spoke none of those. So we saw each other the first night, the two sisters, and you kind of smile and wave. And then a few days later, we saw them somewhere else and you smile and wave. About a week of that in different places. Sometimes like we'd be ahead of them and then we'd stop for lunch and they'd come in, or we just saw them randomly.
Right.
But after about a week, maybe 10 days into it, we're walking into a town and they're sitting up at a little outdoor cafe having lunch. They see us, they get up and run at us, and we have a full-on embrace there in the street.
That's amazing.
And to this point, we still don't speak.
Yeah.
We're just grunting, nodding, and smiling,
Pointing.
and it was a beautiful connection. And you awesome. Get that on a Camino. And some people are doing it for spiritual reasons, and some people are doing it as a pub crawl.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right. But everyone's got this one big goal. So it's an interesting thing, Mike. I encourage you to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go talk to Olivia. Olivia's done a bunch of hiking, so this may be on our agenda.
It's unique, and you don't have to. You've got some. You don't have to stay at the hostel. Some, Dee and I love each other, so some nights we're like, okay, we're gonna stay at that cute little B&B.
Yeah, we're gonna go that way this time. Yeah, I get it. All right, so your initial plan was 18 months. You're having a kick after 30 days. You go to it's. When do you have the conversation going? It's going to be more than 18 months. Does it just happen naturally, or? Some
of it is. My wife is a unique soul. I'm a blessed man, but she's happiest on the move.
Okay.
Like loves airports, loves getting on a plane.
Oh, I hate airplanes.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible flyer.
we were probably 3 months into it.
Okay.
And I looked at her and said, I said, we can do this as long as you want.
Oh, that's awesome.
I said, we had the traditional retirement accounts. We had, most people are too young to remember companies. You used to get pensions.
Yeah.
Right? We had pensions. So we had some income. And this is why real estate is a part of our story. It was like, look, we can take this money that's just sitting over here, barely growing,
right,
and do something else with it. And so we bought some rental properties.
Yeah,
started cash flowing for us.
That's awesome.
And so all of a sudden it was like, oh, so we can keep going.
Yeah.
So there was no. It kind of just became life.
That's awesome.
And like I said, we ended up in different places because we met people.
Yeah.
Or somebody would tell us, oh, you really got to go check, How Long Bay out in Vietnam. And we'd go, okay.
Okay. Well, we'll go that way. We're going east.
And we were, speaking of Vietnam, we were in northern Vietnam and met this young lady from the States who'd been out for like 5 months traveling. I think she was 20, may have been 21, but I remember Dee going, okay, took me 50 years to figure this out. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I work seasonal up in Alaska and love it. And she drove a tour motor coach
Okay.
up in Alaska, and she shows this picture, and then she asked if she could join us on a trek.
Okay.
So we spent a few days together, and at the end of it, Dee comes to me and goes, "Hey, let's do that for a summer." Because oddly enough, we're big time. We've hiked and we've climbed in Nepal, all over, but neither of us had been to Alaska.
Ah, I like Alaska.
So Dee jumps on the computer and pulls up, and I never looked at it. She goes, "Okay, I filled out 2 applications."
We got jobs.
She said, "Yeah, I put you in for this management gig because that's what you've always done. And I'm going to do this tour gig because it sounds fun." I went, "Whatever you want, love."
Whatever, yeah, whatever you want.
And so then we get emails saying, "We'd like to interview you." Okay.
Great.
So I interviewed first, and we're from Vietnam, right?
Right.
And we're interviewing with 2 managers in Anchorage.
Anchorage, Alaska. Wow.
And in the interview, I talk about Dee all the time. I can't help it. And so then they interviewed Dee next. And then the next day they called and said, "We'd like to talk to both of you together." So we talked to them together, and they said, "We'd love to have you. But your job, James, would be this in one place, and Dee, you're going to be all over. So there's going to be a lot of times you're not together." And we just went, "Whoa, I'm sorry. We didn't look deep enough at this, and I hate to waste your time, but we built this life so we're together."
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so then they said, "Well, tell you what, how would you feel about being the supervisors in Skagway?" I went, "Cool.
Yeah.
Supervising what and where's Skagway?"
Is that Alaska still?
That was my exact response.
I've been to Skagway a couple of times. That's awesome.
Well, so we ended up in Skagway for a summer and fell in love with it. So we went four more summers up there.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah. In fact, we're leaving tonight to run up and go visit for a few days.
That's amazing.
But so that was it was we had said, if an adventure comes our way, let's go do it. And so even if it's a work adventure, so Skagway sounded like an adventure. We went up, and said, I mean, it was work, but it never felt like work. It was so much fun. And Skagway, folks, if it's a town of 900 people.
Yeah,
but it's a deep water port, so the cruise ships come in.
Yeah.
So the summer population swells to about 3,000.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, I've been there twice, again, on cruise ships.
Yeah.
It's just, as I remember, it's got this one long street.
Yeah.
Got a couple of side streets where people are living, right? Homes. And then, we enjoyed it. I remember several pieces of, I don't know, arts or whatever you'd call it that Olivia picked up in Skagway. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous, and literally in the summer, because the sun almost doesn't go down.
That's weird, right?
We'd finish work, we'd go have dinner and go, let's go for a hike.
Yeah,
right?
why not? Yeah.
Go up, hike around Lower Dewey Lake for 2 hours, come back, it's still light, go to bed.
Yeah, it's crazy. The other thing I remember from our conversation, because again, one rental at a time, one of the things I talk about is getting your money right. You shared a story that your wife religiously tracks spending or budgeting. So why don't you tell that story? And again, this is an important, so you could do it, right?
Yeah. So early on, there's apps for everything. She just downloaded a spending app that looked like a good one, and she's religious about it. She tracks every dime, and some of it because it's fun for her.
Yeah.
But at the end of at any day, she can look at and say, okay, well, I used to give her a lot of grief about coffee.
Yeah.
She's got to have her coffee, right?
I know what that feels like. So I respect that.
So, but
that's me.
If I ever gave her a little bit of grief about coffee, because, we were going out of our way or doing something to get her a coffee, I'd give her a little bit of grief, and she'd pull up the app and go, well, see how much you spent on ice cream last week. I'm like, oh, okay.
Enough said. You win.
But it's the spending app is so robust. We can tell you how much we've spent on pay toilets in the last year.
There you go.
Because you get to some other countries and a lot of it.
Yeah, you got to pay. Yeah.
But it's and Dee drives it, bless her heart. But we regularly do what she calls a State of the Union.
Yeah.
We'll be,
Where
if
are
we're
we?
driving somewhere or walking, hey, let's do a State of the Union. Okay.
All right.
Here's where we are. Here's where we're at. And
Yeah.
the big thing, Mike, is to do it our way.
Sure.
It has been remarkably inexpensive.
Yeah.
We don't have, we do have the homes, but they pay for themselves,
Sure.
right? So, we don't have a car payment. We don't have, which means we don't have maintenance. We don't have insurance. We don't have the house that we live in. So all of that maintenance. So there's a lot of freedom to this.
Yeah.
Which was why real estate and what you teach people how to do is right. It's not about getting another house. It's about getting freedom to do what you want.
Exactly.
One of the people we interviewed recently, he said it so succinctly. He said, look, I don't want to have to do anything, but I want to be able to do anything.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to be. It's like when you wake up in the morning and it's your day.
Yeah. That's amazing. That is a good feeling. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, yeah, you've put yourself there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For a couple of years now. Anyways. Yeah. It's, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you what your favorite or spot was, and maybe Dee's favorite. Maybe they're different. I don't know. It's probably tough, but,
it's so different. We've had remarkable experiences in so many places. South Africa, some of the Africa, Africa is a huge continent. When you just say Africa, I don't mean Egypt. We like Egypt, but South Africa, we've just spent a couple months in Tanzania, or Tanzania, as they say. Gambia, I've worked in Gambia for a little bit, but there's a magic to that part of the world.
Okay.
And you add in the animals and safaris. So we've been talking about going back to South. And of course, right now, some of it where you can go is limited to where you can go. Right.
Right. What's open. Yeah.
But Nepal, hiking in Nepal is really special.
Okay.
And every trail you can't get lost because every trail goes to a village, and every village is happy to have you. They call them tea houses. And what it is they've got a back room. Maybe the kids moved out, or they built a little stone room, and there's a plywood bed with thick blankets, and they're happy to have you and feed you dinner.
Wow. So
you just trek all around Nepal.
And then the last question I knew I wanted to ask was, what's an average month of spending, right? Again, your wife's got the app. Is it, and it's for the both of you, are we talking $3,000 a month in these?
It so depends where we are. Like in Vietnam, literally $2,000 a month, did everything we wanted, including Dee broke a tooth.
Oh no.
Yeah, she broke a tooth, and we went and found a dentist that we looked up, and expats like this dentist. So we went in. She sat Dee down, cleaned it all up, put in a temporary, and we said, okay, when do we come back? And she said, tomorrow. Like, really? She goes, it's all computerized. I'm like, okay. We came back the next day. They cleaned it up, popped in the new tooth. Perfect.
Nice.
And I think it was $200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Vietnam, depending, but, and we find like little Airbnbs. In Vietnam, we stayed we went up north, which is a cool city. And from there, we went up into the Sapa Mountains and did some trekking.
Wow.
Which you don't think they've got mountains with snow. It snowed on us.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Vietnam. Yeah. Okay.
So it's beautiful. We trekked up there, and then we just worked our way all the way down. Took a few weeks and worked our way all the way down Vietnam, all the down into Saigon. Mm-hmm. And one of the towns we went through, Hoi An, we loved. So after we got to Saigon, we went, let's go back and stay there. And we went back, stayed at this cute little mom and pop B&B. It was a beautiful place. Our room had a balcony overlooking rice paddies. They it came with breakfast. So they lived downstairs and the commons room was downstairs.
Okay.
And then what would they have? I think they had 5 rooms. Okay. And they had bicycles that you could just take. And 2 beaches were within 20 minutes.
Wow.
It's a cool town. And what was nice is they made breakfast, but they're so nice. If we were back around dinner time, they just insisted we join them for dinner. And we literally started avoiding being there at that time because we felt like we were an intrusion, and they were so nice. And they had a little 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Who would come, we'd be laying in bed reading or watching TV, and there'd be a knock on the door and you'd open it and nobody'd be there. And then you look down and there he was, and he'd just walk in, climb up on the bed and lay in between us and watch TV.
Wow.
He was a cute kid.
That's awesome.
But, so anywhere from 2 to 5, depending where you are and what you feel like doing. We do treat ourselves. Well,
sure.
We stayed at the W in where was it? Singapore, and different, but yeah, it's Thailand, Vietnam.
Wow.
So it just depends where, but yeah, I would say 2 to 5. 5 in a month was really, some of the Nordic countries, and
sure. Yeah, more expensive. I've been there.
Staying in some nice places.
Very, very cool. So I guess the last question I wanted to ask is, now that you've been at this for 10 years and it seems like you do a lot of trekking or walking, have you ever thought about how many miles you two have done together?
Well, we know, like, if just in Spain, so 4 of the routes were 550 each.
Okay.
And one of them was about 850.
All right. So we're 2,700 with 5 of them. Five walks.
And so it's
up there.
We're leaving in about 2 weeks, flying into Milan.
Okay.
And there's a trail from the Swiss border to Rome.
Yeah.
So we're going to be on that in a couple of weeks.
Now I got to ask. So it's just, you and 2 are walking along. I'm guessing you're either quiet or talking, or do you like put on headphones and you just like go for it with podcasts or something? What's going on?
Rarely do we do that. Usually it's the 2, and you get into rhythms where you're just in your own head.
Yep.
And it's, we're blessed to have the relationship where neither of us has to entertain the other.
Yeah.
You get in your own head, and you go, hey, we share.
Yeah.
We'll go, we could be talking for an hour straight or quiet for an hour straight.
Yeah.
And but that I'll tell you also, I've never been healthier than at the end of a long walk. Healthier. Yeah. I still teach martial arts, jiu-jitsu. Like I taught jits this morning, and wherever we are in the country, I'll pop into gyms. And I used to fight, so I've been in that kind of shape before.
Yeah.
But I've never been healthier, I think, than after, a long walk. It's like your body finds its right set point.
Yeah. This has been such a fun conversation. I knew it would be. You start out with just go 18 months. Now you're 10 years in, and you 2 are a perfect match. You have found your soulmate. There is no question.
Very, very much so. I'm very blessed with that. And like I said, I got a beautiful wife who doesn't want a home and doesn't like to shop and doesn't like jewelry. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, score.
whatever I did right in the last few lives.
There you go. Well, do you have like an Instagram or anything where you post all of this stuff?
We have, and it's funny. We have a blog that we wrote just for us. Yeah. But 10 years, people have been telling us that you need to share this. You need to, people want to know how you do it, where you go. Because even today, travel, a lot of people are really nervous about where to go and what. For sure. Even pre-COVID, Like there are places we love Turkey, and I know that a lot of people that we talk to, they're like, "Is it safe?
oh, yeah.
Is it safe?" And I'm like, "Man, people are so friendly in Turkey." And so Dee is very private.
Yep.
She's the one that's always like, "Nope, nope, nope."
Nope. Nope.
One-on-one, we'll share anything with you. But she
Right.
didn't want to do anything. And then just a few weeks ago, she goes, maybe we should put a blog out there. Maybe people be interested and we can tell people how to do this, because we're in a unique age group.
Yeah.
She's 56, I'm 62. So you can still have adventure travel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just keep moving, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, my wife came up with nomadic socks.
Nomadic socks.
Socks, SACS, because our last name's Sacamano.
Okay.
So
Spell it one more time for the audience. Nomadic
yeah,
socks.
NOMADACSACS.
There you
Nomadic
go.
socks. So that's our Instagram. So we're going to be back on the road here pretty quick.
And that's an Instagram, not a
That's an
website.
Instagram.
All
But
right.
we'll have, we're going to put up a website too.
Yeah.
So it's fun. And I'll tell you, if you got a minute,
Yeah, please.
it's the press, what we hear is so blown out of proportion. And where we learned that the first time we were going to go to Turkey, we'd walked our first Camino. We treated ourselves with a cruise.
Yeah.
Right. So after walking for 550 miles, we jumped on a cruise ship that out of where was it out of? Well, it ended up in Barcelona.
Okay. Yeah.
And then fell in love with Barcelona. But we were going to go to Turkey, and we're looking, and the riots they were having riots up at Taksim Square.
Okay.
It's all in the news, and they're showing footage, and it looks horrible.
Looks horrible. Yeah.
Looks horrible. And Taksim Square is in Istanbul, which is an amazing city.
Yep. I've been
But
there.
it's a big open area, and it's one of the few big open areas. So they're having riots. Or no, well, first we looked at it, and it was summertime, and flights are full, hotels are full, prices are up. And we're blessed we don't have a time frame, right?
Right. Yeah.
We look at it and go, we'll wait for the shoulder season and go when it's not crowded.
Makes sense.
Literally 2 weeks later, the riots in Taksim start.
Okay.
And so my crazy wife immediately jumps online and looks and goes,
oh,
flights are open, hotels are open. It's like, let's go.
Wow.
So we go, and Istanbul's a massive city.
It is big, yeah.
So
some of the
we're
great
there,
mosques and all that.
Yeah, we're exploring all over Istanbul, and then decide one day let's go up to Taksim and see what's going on. So we go up in the afternoon, and this big square, and there's women with baby carriages, people out having lunch.
Oh, wow.
Right. It's
just normal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big park area. And then about 4 o'clock, from one side of the hill comes 2 police riot buses. And they pull up, and all the guys get out, and they're putting on their riot gear while they're just chatting, how about the game last night, right? Gearing all up. And from the other side, you can hear, here come the protesters. They're chanting, they got their chant. And then it's like, oh, it's time. Ding. They both converge into Taksim. They all start yelling at each other. And then ding, time for prayer. See you tomorrow. And they all go back down.
Wow.
And that was it. And that was what was happening.
Okay.
So it was, tourism dropped dramatically. So when we showed up, everybody was thrilled to see us.
Yeah.
A year later, we're on our way to Thailand, and they start having the big riots there in Bangkok. And so we decided to go.
Of course. Why not? Of course, there's riots. You must go.
Yes, right. We say, so
just go.
We're in Bangkok, and it's business as usual. Where the riots are is really confined.
Yeah.
And they have an area called Government Square. So it's where the police, the government buildings and the police, they're all in one area with a big plaza in the middle.
Yeah.
And what happens, the Thai people are so industrious, right? If there's riots there, that's where the people are. Well, they're going to need soup.
Yeah, gonna need soup and drinks.
So so there's this confined area where the strife is, and around it becomes like a flea market. Right?
So awesome.
Mom and pop are setting up, they're selling t-shirts for pro-government, pro-protesters. You can get your
capitalism,
get your pad thai. And then people who have like a garage band, they're like, we should go play there. People can hear us. So there's this area. And then on the outside of it is a festival.
Wow.
And so it's just, but if you look at the news, it looked horrible.
Right.
And I remember we met a woman who used to live, oh God, now I'm trying to remember the island. One of those pristine little islands that, and I didn't know, she told me there had been a coup there once. And I'm like, a coup? And she said, yeah. And she started getting, she said it was just people were angry. You know, there was two sides. And her family starts calling and they're telling her she got to get out of there. She's got to get back to the States. This is crazy. You shouldn't be there. CNN was showing footage and they were showing tanks.
Okay.
Well, that island doesn't own a tank.
There's not a tank on the island.
There's not a tank on the island. And they're using stock footage from someplace else to beef this story way up. So
yeah, it's funny.
There are places on the planet you don't want to go right now.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, for the most part, people,
that's amazing.
People are people.
Yeah.
And, governments are one thing, but people are people.
I love that. I've seen the same thing. Yeah.
It's fun to get out there.
Yeah. That's amazing. And it's nomadic socks, like socks you wear, right? S-O.
Yeah. No, right. S-A-C apostrophe S.
Oh, S-A-C. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
S-A-C. I'm just going to start following you. Oh, there he is. James Sakamoto. Look at that. Follow. Oh, wow. Look at that. Cool. I got you. All right, buddy. Thank you very much for this. This is a lot of fun. I knew this would be fun. I had a great time, and safe travels.
Thanks again, Mike. And thanks for the education you gave me. And like I said, your book sings to me.
I appreciate that. I'm glad to do it. Thanks again.
Take care.
Mm-hmm.